Hi, everyone. Hello, welcome you all to our panel, number 16 tonight, 6 p.m. in Brazil. We are welcoming today 4 amazing professionals from the climate-related field to discuss about climate professionals in the private sector. What are the opportunities out there? My name is Luciana Brandão. I'm speaking today from Porto Alegre, and I work as an innovation consultant and project manager at Semente Negócios, where we develop some programs to drive social innovation and sustainable entrepreneurship around Brazil. So I'm very happy to welcome to our panel tonight 4 amazing professionals who will be sharing with us about their experiences in the private sector, how they have been contributing with their work to tackle some of the most pressing challenges related to climate change. So I'm here today with Felipe Bittencourt, who is a business director at Carbon.
Yeah.
Hello, Felipe.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, everything fine. We also have here Laura Guaitolini, environmental engineer from Schneider Electric. Hello, Laura. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Luciana. Hello.
Thank you for having your time here with us. Renata van der Vecken, corporate energy and fluids manager at Ambev. Sorry, Renata, I don't know if I misspelled your last name.
No, it's okay. Thank you for inviting us for this panel. I'm very glad to be here with you.
Thank you very much. And we also have with us tonight Marcelo Behar, Vice President Sustainability and Group Affairs from Natura. Good evening, Marcelo.
Hello, Luciana. Good evening from London. Hello, Felipe. Hello, Laura. Hello, Renata. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight. I'll let you introduce yourselves to our audience in the next few moments. But before, I would like to bring us a quick overview about the topic we'll be discussing here. So we know that the intersection between climate change and the private sector is a very challenging one. And I think it's very provocative for us to think in terms of opportunities, as it's in the title of this panel tonight. I think this is a very complex theme because we are dealing with multi-layered and complex challenges when we talk about climate change in general. And the private sector plays a very important role in this, in the 21st century overall, in the capitalistic society, and when we talk about climate change even more. And there are 3 aspects I want to highlight. The first one is, when we think about private sector, there is the issue of mitigation, right? And how companies and their environmental externalities for the last few centuries have been contributed to GHG emissions. So that is the first issue. The second one, and this is a little bit, how can I say that? So on the other hand, right, opposing to the first one, we have the question of innovation, which for me is fascinating, and is how the private sector companies and private organizations can also contribute and then bring this will to change and a composition of capabilities that help us to design and deliver to market new solutions that are more ecological, more efficient, carbon-free, inclusive, fair, etc. And there is a third aspect of this discussion that I also want to highlight, which is the question of adaptation, right? And how for private organizations to survive and thrive in a changing world, they must adapt and they must become more resilient, attractive to those new professionals and those new consumers that are among us today. So these are the three aspects that have been on my mind when I think about this issue, and I hope that we can discuss today throughout your perceptions and your views and your experiences, how you see this intersection as well. So I think we can start now, like a little round around this table, this virtual table of introductions. Maybe we can start with Felipe and then move on through the alphabetical order. Felipe, if you want to.
Sure, be my pleasure. Hello, you all. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Felipe Bittencourt, and I'm the managing partner and founder of Way Carbon. It's been about 15 years I'm working with climate change. I'm a civil engineer, but I did my master's and my PhD on climate change. My master was related to emissions and residues, and my PhD was forestry and RED projects in the Amazon. I did part here at the UFMG, where I teach for the last 7 years. And yeah, I got my PhD 10 years ago, did a part here, a part as a visiting researcher at the University of Oxford in England. And my company has been running 14 years so far, and working mainly just with climate change and also corporate sustainability. We have about 75, 80 people working with us full-time, offices in Belo Horizonte, Rio, and São Paulo. We are a big company, which means more than money. We are aiming to give benefits to society, and we exist because we want to catalyze the change, this transition to a low carbon economy. That's the main goal. And we have been working with large corporations and also the government, and now in all three levels, municipal, state, and the federal level. So, and the company works, we have, let's say, 4 areas. We have a lot of innovations. Nice that you said that, Luciana. We have 2 areas that it's technology-based. One, it's Climas, which is a software to manage sustainability. It calculates greenhouse gas emissions, for instance, for about 50 different companies in 13 different countries, large corporations, very large corporations, and also all the reports that they have to Dow Jones Sustainability Index or CDP or things like that. And we have another technology area that we model adaptation. So we are modeling risk for cities, for private companies that now they want to understand the financial risk they have to deal with climate change. We have also a consultancy area, which we have specific managers for mitigation, adaptation, strategy, sustainability metrics, and green finance. And the fourth area, it's called Amigo do Clima, climate friend, which is an offsetting program that we are running. It's been about 6 or 7 years, and we offset mainly large corporations with carbon credits. And that's a little bit about me and my company. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope we have a very good discussion. I'm sure we're going to have with those panelists.
Thank you, Felipe. Way Carbon is an amazing company. I've had the opportunity to go on a YCL immersion last year with one of your colleagues.
Which one?
Very nice. I think her name was Carol. I'm not totally sure now. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Well, it's live. We cannot edit.
Yeah, I think we have about we are sending every year more and more of our staff to the program. Since the beginning of the program, we really believe what ICL is doing. It's the way capacity building. It's perhaps the most important thing related to climate change in a developing country like ourselves here. So.
Amazing. I think Laura was with us here. Now she disappeared. Oh, hello, Laura.
Hello, everyone. I would like to say hello to my fellow panelists today. Good evening to you, Luciana, to everybody that is connected with us, and also to everybody that is going to watch the recorded session. So hello to all of you. It's a great pleasure to be here. I am Laura. I'm an environmental engineer, and I'm also a specialist in marketing and business. I am currently working at Schneider Electric. We are multinational group, a French multinational group focused in the development of digital energy management solutions and automation solutions that drive efficiency and sustainability for all kinds of end markets, such as buildings, infrastructure, data centers, industries, and we are currently shifting our business towards being a carbon neutral business and also promoting or contributing to the transition that the world needs towards a carbon neutral economy. So we are completely shifting our business right now to provide more and more products, services, and solutions that help get a better climate. We like to say that more Schneider is a better climate because of the type of portfolio that we have right now. And for example, just to start giving examples with this presentation, we have a metric, we have a business target related to our offers that is that we want to reduce 120 million metric tons of CO2 in our customers through the use of our offers. So we not only want to decarbonize ourselves, we want to help our customers and our value chain to also decarbonize. And I'm 27 years old. I think I always like to highlight that to shout out to all young people out there who want to pursue a career in sustainability or in climate, because we are still very few, but I'm sure going to be much more in the future.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'm also 27 years old, so hey, 93, right? And congratulations for having also such an impact, high impact aspiration and target at Schneider Electric. That's very impressive, the numbers you brought to us. So I would also like to ask to Marcelo to say hi. Hello, Marcelo.
Hello, Luciana. How are you?
Very well. How are you? It's late in London tonight.
No, it's okay. It's still 9:15 p.m., so it's okay. Well, just to introduce myself, so I'm Marcelo Behar. I feel like I'm 27 years old, despite the fact that I'm no longer 27 for some time, but I'm the Vice President for Sustainability and Group Affairs at Natura &Co, which is a company that comprises 4 different brands: Natura, The Body Shop, Avon, and Aesop. And together we have over 6 million representatives and consultants, over 34,000 employees, over 3,000 stores. We are presented in over 100 countries, and we have committed ourselves to very clear targets on sustainability and on climate that will certainly provide many opportunities for climate professionals. So the first pillar, we are committing ourselves on the 4 brands and to become net zero 20 years ahead of the UN pledge for 1.5 degrees. I don't know if everyone is already familiar with the pledge, but that's very important for companies to really tackle climate change. They must convey and to try to become and to make all the efforts to really become net zero as the targets are set. So we are doing that 20 years ahead of the UN pledge by 2030 on scopes 1, 2, and 3, which is really difficult. It will be really a challenge taking all our networks. So that will require changes in logistics, changes in the way that we produce things, changes in the way that we supply, changes in the way of consumption. And there is a big effort on packaging and on the way that we are relating to consumers. So I think the way that we think about climate professionals should go all the way down the whole network in a way that we can align those objectives with the different spheres of production. Besides that, we're also committing ourselves to defend human rights and to be humankind, which is a very important pillar. And the third pillar is also connected to the climate sphere, which is to embrace circularity and regeneration. So to become full circular on packaging, to have ingredients that are at least 95% biodegradable and renewable, and that will also provide a lot of opportunities in R&D, research and development for many professionals that are connected to the mindset of changing the way that we produce things and the way that we make the closed loop on production. So that's what I wanted to start with, to invite you all to join us on that effort so we can build together those objectives and make a debate around how to achieve targets that are similar to other companies. Thank you for the opportunity, Luciana.
Thank you, Marcelo. Very eager to hear more about all these initiatives that you mentioned. They are very representative of our discussion here tonight and how we need to engage people from so many different backgrounds in order to be able to solve all these issues. And we also have with us tonight Renata.
Hello.
Hello, Renata.
I'm not going to tell my age, but I'm mother of 2 kids, so that's also private. I'm an environment and energy corporate manager at Ambev. This means that I'm responsible for environment, energy, utilities in our operations in South America zone. So more in supply, as we mean, our main operations. And I'm a civil engineer as Felipe, and I had a master in environmental sanitation, and 13 years already with Ambev. I started as an environmental supervisor in the shop floor of our brewery in Jacareí. Then I worked some years with projects in environment, so not only in climate and energy, but also water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants, installations, expansions, and new operations. I went to Uberlândia in 2012 to build a new brewery, and then became the environmental manager there and implemented the environmental management system that we have. From there, I went to the south of Brazil to manage a whole soft drink plant as a plant manager. And 2 years ago, I came back to the engineer center, where I work now, and it's an excellence center. We give technical support for the breweries, the verticalized operations, malting plants, and I'm new in climate, but I have a lot of years in the sustainability and environment, so also related to climate. I'm really glad to be here representing Ambev. Climate change is sustainability, and sustainability, as Carlos Brito always says, is our business. It's not part of our business, because if we don't have water, if we don't have farming, we don't have beer. So we have this intrinsic in our work, and the dream of our people is to bring people together for a better world. And when we talk about better world, we talk about climate, and we have some platforms where we have sustainability targets, and all these pillars that we work for sustainability, they are related with climate actions. So we have the pillar itself of climate action, where we have two main targets. This goal is a medium-term goal that we aim to have by 2025, 100% of our purchased electricity coming from renewable sources, and 25% reduction in our emissions, and not more in our operations as we did before. So until 2017, our targets of sustainability, they were related with our operations, so reducing consumption and reducing emissions inside our operations. Now we want to do this in the ecosystem. So we want to reduce this 25% in the whole value chain, and this goes through agriculture, this goes through logistics, this goes through eco-friendly fridges, and not only our operations. So this is inside the climate action pillar, but when we look at the other pillars, that they are all related to the goals of United Nations. We look at the water, and what we want there is to have measurable improvements in quality and quantity of water in all the areas, high stressed areas that we are. And we do this by improving infrastructure, water infrastructure, but we also do this by reforestation. And with this, we also gain in emissions and in climate. When we look at the pillar smart agriculture, all we do there is to empower our direct farmers to improve productivity and profitability. But with this, they also reduce and they improve the use of natural resources. And we also have a full pillar in circular packaging, where our goal is to have 100% of our products with returnable packaging or mainly recycled material. All these pillars, they are related to reduction of emissions and with climate change. So I think that we have a bit to share here. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Renata. I think these examples you're bringing, also like the examples that the other participants brought, what makes me fascinated about your stories is how ambitious your goals is. I mean, all of the participants, all of you brought here to us so many examples of things that you are doing. It's not just, okay, let's reduce a little bit here, or let's reduce a little bit there. No, everyone here is thinking about making big changes. And for what you're saying, some of those changes, they might even be like in the core of the business model that you have. You're proposing like a real transformation in the value chain that you are working. So one day you're thinking, oh, I'm here producing beverage, but no, I'm also looking at how all those people who are together in the value chain are affected, or how they can also mitigate their carbon emissions. Yes. And this is a common point in all the examples that we have here, of all the participants we have here tonight. So I think this is the first thing I would like to highlight from your speaking. And
as if I can just point, in Ambev, we say a lot that dreaming big is the same work as dreaming small. So I think that now we are really dreaming big about sustainability and looking at the whole ecosystem and the pushing and helping others to do their part also.
Right. I would like to start with one first open question, which is the second thing that I also noticed here is we are among several engineers. And I personally come from economics and social science background. I graduated in international relations and I did my master's in environmental sociology. And one thing that I always wonder when we think about climate professionals is, okay, who are those climate professionals, right? Are they only engineers, environmental engineers? Is there room, is there space for people from other academic backgrounds, right? From other fields of knowledge to also contribute? And what we've heard is that, yes, there is room, and there is also the need of those multiple expertises working together in the same project. So in order to accomplish those targets and those goals that you all mentioned, you need this combination of many different professionals. And I wonder that must also be quite challenging for people who are ahead of those great teams, right? Work with so many different personalities. So I would like to start asking you what you understand are the most important capabilities, and including in those soft skills and hard skills for professionals who want to work with business and climate.
May I?
Sure.
All right.
Go ahead.
So it's true what you said, Luciana, that different backgrounds are quite important for the success of any company that wants to work with climate change. It brings me to the time 2006. I was 25 years old. Sorry, now I'm about 40. But by that time we were 5 partners. And look at the backgrounds. I'm the engineer. There was one international relations, one economist, one sociologist, and one biologist. So we came together to create Wake Up. And now the company, as I said, has about 75 people. And the last time I checked, we had like 20 different backgrounds of graduation courses. 20 different. It comes from social science to geography to all kinds of engineering to computer science to it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what background you have. If you want to work with climate change, there is space. There is a need for people that really wants to be challenged, to make a difference in the world. And I do believe it doesn't matter the background. It matters how much they want to contribute to the agenda. It matters if they are good in what they do. That's one thing very, very important. And of course, there are some hard skills, as you know, most of the literature is in English. So if you want to move faster, you definitely need to know a little bit of English. And yes, it's hard to get the knowledge of climate change in the undergraduation courses, and that's why that's because there are so few courses at the universities in Brazil that go on the topic of climate change. So most of the people, they are going for master's degrees. In the past, they would need to go abroad like I did, but nowadays you already have a lot of programs with the climate change agenda as well. And of course, it depends in which area you want to work. If you want to work with politics and governmental projects, you may be an economist, a social science, international relationship. But if you want to work with adaptation, then you need more math skills, programming, perhaps to go for the models. So it's wide open, the background for undergraduate courses. And I think the most important thing is the soft skill. Is you need to have a profile to work with the topic, and you need to perhaps be a strategist, to think ahead, to think about the future that we want to build together. And that's my point of view, and that's how we hire people here at Wake Up.
I may contribute, I think. I think that there is this space for all these backgrounds, and who is leading this team will need to be able to work with this diversity in order to enable the innovation, because what we will need to look ahead is a lot of innovation, and to build this innovation within the business, I think we need this diversity, so every background will be welcome, and the leader who is leading that will need to provide a very psychological safety environment in order to listen to all these backgrounds and do not cut the ideas, and with this we can have more new ideas that we even don't think now that is possible, because we still have a lot to do, I think, to go for a real carbon neutral economy, and we will need new things that are not here yet, and the soft skills to enable this environment will also be necessary. So I think that this active listening, this way of providing this safe environment for people to bring their ideas will be also important.
Also, Laura, one thing you mentioned in your speak is that you come from environmental engineering background, but you also have a master's in business administration, right? Communications. And I wonder how you deal with such a diverse group of people in your work, and how do you combine both kinds of skills in order to deliver the best results?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Luciana. It was something I felt the need to step aside a little bit of the environment background that I had to be able to build bridges and to connect with other areas, because I guess climate change and sustainability in general is a complex issue. It's not an environmental only issue. So environmental engineering alone is not going to be able to solve this issue. We have to bring a holistic view with a lot of different backgrounds, everybody working together with the same objective in order to be able to find an integrated solution for this complex issue. So I realized, being inside Schneider Electric, we are a huge multinational company. We are in more than 100 countries. I have to talk to people from many levels of the organization, many different teams, to coordinate our climate strategy. And I realized that I only had the environmental arguments to talk to people and to convince them and to persuade them. And that's not enough, because the context that we live today, the governmental context, the business context, the social context, is much more complex than, I don't know, tracking emission data. So I felt the need to learn more from other areas in order to be able to talk to them in their own language, because I wasn't able to talk to a finance person and give financial arguments, or to talk to a marketing person and give communication or marketing arguments. So I guess this professional, as Felipe said, has to be prepared to listen and to connect with other kinds of professionals. And I also think that resiliency and persuasion are important soft skills, because you're going to hear some no's, or you're going to hear some, I don't agree with you, I don't think that's important. And resiliency will be important to keep on the track that you believe is the right one, and to work with many different people. But diversity, I don't think it's an option, it's a must. We need different views. We need diverse views and opinions on this topic, because otherwise we're going to be, as we say sometimes, preaching to people who are already converted. We don't want to preach to the people that are already converted. We want to convert new ones. So we have to step outside our silos and talk to people that we normally don't agree, and yeah, to build these connections in network. That's what I think.
When you mention about those ambitious targets that your companies are setting now, one of the things I was wondering is, okay, amazing, but first, how do you convince the board to actually make the investments, the financial investments, the human resources investments, and whatever else is needed in order to accomplish that? It's not as straightforward as deciding on a marketing investment, for instance. And then I was also wondering, how do you convince everyone else to work? And not in a way that, oh, okay, now I have all my daily tasks and my daily targets that I have to reach, all these KPIs. Oh, and now there's also the environmental and the sustainability ones. So even like this look to inside the company, right? How can you convince everybody or make everybody come together with you as a leader on this journey? I would also like to hear a little bit from Marcelo, who is the head of Natura & Co, about how you are implementing this in all this diverse group of enterprises.
Thanks so much, Luciana, and great to hear my colleagues, and agree 100% to what you guys just said, especially Laura, which I think is, if you really want to make all those changes, there are many languages you have to speak and many people you have to talk to and many different interactions. I haven't said at the beginning, I am not an engineer. I'm surrounded by engineers, but I am a sociologist and a lawyer. And in our teams, we have many different expertises. As Felipe said, I think they all combine, because nowadays it's not just being a climate professional, right? So it's more, there is a sense of urgency on tackling the climate crisis. If your company is really aiming to tackle the climate crisis and to take measures to do that, then everyone gets on board, and then the KPIs start converting to that. And then what is a plan for not only producing, but what used to be called marketing is also part of the company strategy. So sustainability and climate, I think, is becoming more and more a new way of placing strategy. So the professionals that are under that area are becoming less sustainability professionals and more professionals on transformation. So we got to transform the way we operate, we got to transform the way we are organized, and we got to transform the way that we relate to the main stakeholders, especially the finance sector and the public sector. So all those expertise must come together to accomplish those goals. And they are somehow aligned. I mean, there is no way that one company can think of itself itself as an island. So we are part of the whole, and to be part of the whole, we really must address those issues. So I think when we commit to things that are as ambitious as to say that we will struggle and we'll have no rest until there is zero deforestation in the Amazon by 2025, that's not something that we can do by ourselves. That's something that we can only foster collective efforts with many others to push and to drive change and to implement the things that will be needed in order to achieve that goal. So I think when the board is convinced that the company must do something about it, then the whole climate area comes as part of the strategy. And that's, I think, the dream of every climate professional, to work in companies that are truly committed to tackle the climate. Once that commitment is taken, then is not only about preaching to the convoy, all the others into the journey. So, yeah, I think it's, just to finalize, what really makes a difference, and not just talking about it, is really setting targets, and setting target by company, setting target by measurements that you need, which methodology are you using, explaining that to different stakeholders, and explaining the connection of why are you achieving that, and what do you have to do on your private lives to do that. Then you really start promoting change, not only in the culture of the company, but on the way that the company produces, and the way that change is really not only inside the company, but gaining society as a whole. That's the spirit, right? That's where I think the world is heading more and more. That's what we saw by the elections in the US. That's what the European Green New Deal is setting for. That's what the future will look like. So let's anticipate ourselves and move towards that direction faster.
Thank you, Marcelo. That's very, very true what you said about setting the targets. All the examples you brought here, they resonate a lot with the strategies that we've been studying as young climate leaders, and also not only in the private sector, right? But I guess as a global movement, if we want to transition to a more sustainable and carbon-free society, we must start setting targets and having this coordination to achieve the same goals. This resonates a lot with one of the questions we had from our audience, in which the participant asked about when we talk about the 3 bottom line of sustainability. Juliana Figueiredo, she asks, how much attention do you think that the social pillar receives from the private sector in comparison with economic and environmental ones? I guess she means that probably the social pillar receives lesser attention than the other 2. Do you see that in your companies? Do you see a difference between those 3 pillars when we talk about sustainability? Are they still addressed as different boxes on those targets and strategies, or do your company have a more integrated vision of the triple bottom line? Laura wants to go for that one. I saw you were knocking with your
like yes, no. Sure. I mean, the triple bottom line was a theoretical model of sustainability thought by John Elkington back in the 80s. And as all theoretical models, it also evolves and changes when our perception of the reality changes as well. And John Elkington himself did a recall of that model in the recent years, because he recognized that dividing 3 pillars were not enough to express the challenges that we had today. So I recognized it was very important by that time, because it kind of introduced this agenda where we only had before an economic pillar. So it was like, hello, we have to think about society and the environment as well. But I would not say that it is the best suited model for the perception and the challenges that we have today. And As Schneider Electric, we are more towards the donut model right now, where we have a social floor and environmental ceiling, and all the environmental economics are limited by this welfare in society and respecting environmental limits. So I wouldn't say for Schneider Electric right now, and I see this evolution in all the markets, that it's being treated in silos. I think that the trend is that it's going to be treated more and more really integrated. And there is one thing that is common sense in Brazil and in other countries in development or underdeveloped countries, that is, we can't think of climate change right now. We have too many problems to solve. Like, we have hunger, we have education. We can't focus on that right now. That is for, I don't know, the next century or the next decades. And I think that when we lose this holistic approach, we don't see the synergies. A lot of our social challenges and environmental challenges that we have today are completely compatible with our economic challenges, and we could solve all of them at once. Like all the models that all my colleagues were explaining before, of bringing sustainable agriculture or connecting the business to deforestation in Amazon, all of those actions are chain actions, and they solve environmental, social, and economic problems all at once. So I really think that this holistic view is the way, and the way that we're trying to work at Schneider is to not overlook social aspects or environmental aspects and to prioritize economic aspects. We're trying to reimagine capitalism and to reimagine business by putting all of them at the same level of relevance. But I would really like to hear from the others.
Yeah, if I may, you said, Luciana, in the beginning about the 3 views that you had about climate change, and I'm gonna go deeper, not sustainability, but to talk more about climate change. You said about mitigation, adaptation, and innovation. And one pillar that is being built, and I say that because of projects that we are developing in Rio, São Paulo, Curitiba, and Salvador, all of them with targets. They are planning to go net zero by 2050. And this other pillar is inclusion. And it's a central pillar, because you need to take into account the social difference and social backgrounds and everything to actually build a new future. So, and it's not just in the private sector, it's also in cities, it's also in governments, and also in NGOs and third sector, and there you go. So that's my view on the topic.
Thank you, Felipe. Yes, inclusion is actually something that's the pillar of the pillars, right? Without inclusion, you don't have life, you don't have, right? Without diversity and inclusion, you don't have life, you don't have innovation, you don't have anything. That's something I've been thinking a lot about in the last years. And at the same time, it's also quite challenging, right? To promote environments that are truly inclusive in all its intersections. And I think this is a very important reflection for us to keep thinking and discussing about. I would also like to invite you for one more reflection, because we are now moving towards the end of our panel. So fast, we only have 10 minutes now. I would like to ask you about thinking ahead of the future, specifically the Brazilian future. And it's right, it's not a guessing exercise, but I think it's important provocation for us to have here. What changes would you expect to see or to be pulled by the private sector in the near future? And in your opinion, how you think climate leaders who are ahead of companies and enterprises can contribute the most to this agenda of transformation? Maybe Renata can start.
Yes, I think that maybe it brings to that 3 pillars, because if we don't integrate all of this, the actions, they are not sustainable. They will not last long enough. So I think the main challenge is to really integrate it in the actions, engaging all the partners, all the ecosystem. I think that innovation will be a big challenge, a big deal, because economics plays a role for the acceleration. But if we look at just for that alone, it will be not enough. I had even a good example that it's about the last question, but I think that it also can fit in here. When big companies they think broader and not only in their own business, they bring more profits with it. So just one few very small example. The local brands we are launching. So we have Magnífica in Maranhão. We have several local brands now of beer. They are introducing in the beer local ingredients. So like cassava, local cassava is coming into the beer. It brings the social appeal, because these farmers, small farmers, they didn't have their product inside the big chains. It brings environment, because we see that we don't have to bring ingredients from other countries that we have locally, and it brings economics. So all the actions that we can think, that we can engage more people and think more broader than the one pillar, they will last longer. So I think that this is the key. It's a long-term view. If we just look at now for few years or few months or 1 year plan, 3-year plan, that's not enough anymore. So that's, I think, the bigger challenge.
Yeah, if I give my contribution. So Luciana, I loved your question, and I think looking to the future and what we want to Brazil, it's key for all climate leaders, for everyone, not only who's connected to sustainability, but who are doing business in Brazil. So I think we see times of change, and I think the U.S. elections, with the appointment from President Biden to John Kerry as the new leader for sustainability in the United States, and the European Union getting together in the Green New Deal. Next year, we'll have both conferences, the Conference for Biodiversity in China and the Conference of Climate in Glasgow. All those events are events that Brazil needs to take its role and do not forget who we are. We are a sustainability champion by the way that we are organized, by everything we have, by the richness of our rainforests, of our ecosystems. That's who we are. And that's how business should really drive the change, to really make a coalition that will allow us to make the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement an instrument where new environmental services can be provided, where we can share wealth and benefit between all the carbon and the biodiversity systems, between countries and between companies. So I think our biggest role now is to really first implement the science-based targets for carbon between our companies, and that will provide a lot of opportunities for young professionals, for everyone who's in that area. More than that, we must value nature, and nature nowadays has no value in itself, and we are so rich in nature, and not to leverage having the biggest biodiversity on Earth, it's not really sane. So we should really tackle how to fix and how to establish science-based targets for nature as well. And finally, I think there is an immense opportunity for reinventing the economy towards a greener model. If we are coming after this whole crisis in a new way, in a better way, we should build back better, greener, with different roles, different jobs, different opportunities. That's the moment we are facing. So I think those who are connected to climate issues and those who are willing to make a career in the climate sector, I think they are really looking to the future. And that's the future all of us should be building in our companies.
If nobody will say anything, I will.
Go ahead,
Marcelo,
Felipe, go ahead.
You're right on the spot. I agree with everything you said, and it's pretty nice to see a company like Natura setting SBT targets. And among others, we have about 1,000 companies so far that did so. In Brazil, just a few, about 18, if I'm not wrong. And that's the way setting targets. And if I may, what to expect, I'm a bit different from you guys that are working in a large corporation, and I feel that I'm working in several different large corporations because we are helping them all. And I think there are some tendency, if you're talking about 2 to 5 years, I see SBT as a very clear tendency. The world needs that to achieve 2 degrees. And definitely, it comes also to a carbon price, internal carbon pricing. That's one thing that many companies are doing so nowadays, and many more will do. We have to understand that we have more than 60 different countries or regions in the world already with a national carbon pricing and talking about carbon tax or a carbon market. So it's gonna come to Brazil, and that's for sure. The question is just when. And the third thing that I think looking ahead that will come very soon and very strong is the pressure of the financial sector, and that's the way of the task force for climate financial disclosure, the TCFD, and the world and the investors want to know about the climate risks, the risks that climate are having to their assets. So that's pretty clear for me as well. And when you said about Luciana, about the climate leaders, the role they play and things like that, well, what contributes the most? I think you have very different agendas that must be improved, and so it's not just one thing that they contribute the most. When we are looking about inside the company, the employees, and you're talking about capacity buildings, when you're looking about politics, large corporations are more and more working with climate advocacy to the public sector. When you're looking into your supply chain, I think the contribution is looking to the whole product, looking for the carbon footprint, the life cycle assessment, and how it can be done better, cleaner, perhaps neutral. And of course, looking to the client, you need to change the partner, the way the clients are consuming, and that's sustainability. That's what the world needs. And to end, I would like just to say what, very in line what Marcelo said, Brazil, we are already a champion, and that's for sure. What we don't know, we have a lot of differentials, positive differentials regarding sustainability. We have the largest rainforest in the world, biodiversity, potential of renewable energies. We have technologies like the biofuel with ethanol, and what we need is to change those differentials, those environmental differentials into competitive differentials into the market as well. And that's my point of view.
Thank you very much, Felipe. I see we have now a big agenda here in the private sector, and we should also come up with a private sector statement we can bring and move forward, make this set the agenda tone for, and the example for other companies. Like someone, I think it was Renata who said earlier, right? We have to dream big. So I would like to see those changes that you mentioned to be implemented in the near future. And I am more positive now at the end of this panel that we are walking in the same direction, in a common direction. I would like to thank you all for being here with us today and having your time to share your ideas and your experiences with us and all our audience. And we are moving now to closing the panel. So we have a few seconds for each of you to say goodbye and to leave maybe to include a call for action or mention some opportunity that you have in your company and you want to share with everyone. So thank you very much.
So, Luciana, if I may begin, I would like to say, to conclude this panel about opportunities in the climate in the private sector, that the private sector and its investors, they need to take urgent climate action. They know we, the private sector, we are accountable, we are responsible, we have the power to do it, and we have to analyze risks and opportunities associated to our business and take urgent action. This is the decade of action. We don't have time to decide whether it's important or not. We only have time to take bold and urgent action. And I would like to let everybody know that in Schneider Electric we have 3 positions opened related to climate change and energy. So please, if you feel this calling, please investigate the positions that we have opened. Thank you so much,
Lara.
for
Are the
being here.
positions available on the website, schneiderelectric.com?
Yes, and also on LinkedIn.
Okay, I may go. Okay, thank you for inviting us to be here. I really learned a lot here in this panel, and I think that we may always bring more to our business. We have the ways of going on dev in our website. We have programs for scholarships, trainee programs, and also summer jobs, and all the openings and the inscriptions are within the website. So there's always space for new people. Okay.
Thank you, Renata.
So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Luciana, so much. Thanks for my colleagues, panelists. Just to tell you that Natura & Co now operates in 100 countries, so there are opportunities all over the globe. You can check the opportunities on each company's website and also in LinkedIn. Besides that, our commitment to life, as we call our vision for 2030, is also available with each metric, each target, setting when we want to accomplish. And so if you also have companies like Felipe's, other big companies that are willing to connect to us in different ways, please feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I think there is a great future to be built, and it certainly counts on people like yourselves. Thank you so much.
I think you're muted, Felipe.
Sorry, it happens every time. Anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity. Perhaps I would like to finalize just addressing to those young professionals who want to start working with climate change. I do believe it's the right decision. Not just because I did that 15 years ago, but mainly because there is a huge amount of things that need to be done, and we need people to do it, and people that really have interest in changing the way the world is moving. And some advice I would say, learn. I saw there were some questions we didn't address here, and it doesn't matter if it's the private sector, if it's consultants, government. Learn and study. It's never enough. So do get involved as well, not just studying, but get involved within your society, the companies, the NGOs that you may and come to work with climate change. Of course, come to work at Wecama as well. We have always vacancies and places for new people. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for our panelists. Luciana, thank you for the invitation as well, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Felipe, Renata, Laura, and Marcelo. Thank you once again. Also the organization of YCL for promoting such an amazing event. And for those who are with us and want also to learn a little bit about the public sector, we have a very nice panel happening right now, just started, with Amanda Costa, where we'll talk about climate in Brazil, education, human rights, employment, and sustainability. So check also the other events that are happening, the side events on YCL webpage. And thank you for the inspiration, as Samia said. And I already have many ideas for coming up with targets, and also wondering how we're going to mobilize everyone in other companies and in the private sector to meet them. And hope you have also a very nice week. So good evening, good night, everyone. Bye-bye.